It's the weekly PPE with Tisha Lassane.
What is your purpose? What is your passion? What empowers you?
It's your girl Tisha Lassane, and you are listening to the weekly PPE. What is your purpose? What is your passion? And what empowers you? Well, today, guys, I have Reverend Tyrone Nelson on the line with me. We're going to talk about his journey, everything that he's doing in the community, within the ministry, as a father. And we're just going to talk about it and how did he get to where he is now? You know, we're always talking about the journey. It's all about success and where we are today, but we have to go through something to get to where we're supposed to be. So I'm excited to have him on today. And without me talking anymore, Reverend Nelson, let's just talk about all that you're on so many committees. You're doing so much in the community. Let's talk about what you're doing in the community right now. What's pressing right now?
First of all, thanks for having me on the show. I appreciate the invitation. Anytime I can get a chance to come on and talk about um, what's going on. Sometimes there's so much going on, I can't even think of any particular thing off the top of my head. But there's always something going on. I just said like that. You know, right now I am into my second year on the board of supervisors. No, I'm sorry, my second year of my third term. So this is year 10 on the board of supervisors. So we got some exciting things going on in the district right now. The Varina district is huge, and so it encompasses the landmass anyway, over half of the county. So 54% of the landmass of Henrico County is what they consider the Varina district, even though we only have 65,000 people. So there's a lot of open space in certain parts of the county. Um, when you think about the district I represent, you think about Highland Springs, you think about rural Varina, suburban Varina, urban Varina, you think about the Sandston community, which Elko is a part of that. So, I mean, there are a lot of smaller sections of the district that, people live in. I mean, you literally can be in Sandston and not know anything about Montrose, which is the more urbanized area of Varina.
That's
Um,
just
you can be in Highland Springs and just be in Highland Springs. I mean, you can go to Highland Springs High School and hate your rival Varina. Crazy thing is, I represent both of those schools. So, I mean, that's uh, kind of the area that I represent right now. The most exciting things that are coming up is, I guess, in a month and a half now. August 28th, we'll be cutting the ribbon for the new Highland Springs High School. And so that's a huge project. End up being about $115 million spent on that school.
wow.
And it'll seat about 2,000 students. It's just a completely new facility. And the Highland Springs building itself was the oldest high school structure in the county. So this is exciting,
Yeah.
I think, for the students, for the parents. I know the athletic programs, particularly those people who use the football field for their sports. Um, they haven't had a home game in a year and a half now, so they'll be able to play on their new turf in the back of the school. So that's been the most exciting thing. We got some stuff going on in Dory Park, um, building a new $3 million Little League stadium there, Little League
Wow.
football stadium, doing some minor upgrades to the softball piece. We're building a spray park there. Just opened up a walking trail that connects from the back of the park, which is the Capitol Trail. Connects from the Capitol Trail and takes you into the park when you can actually um, walk the
Mm.
trail. We got a new park that we're master planning right now, and we're pretty much finished that.
Okay.
Taylor Farm Park in Sandston on Whiteside Road uh, runs parallel to the well, not parallel, but runs aside the YMCA property, Chickahominy YMCA.
Okay.
That'll be 97 acres
Wow.
of land that we purchased. Only about half of it is we're able to do something on, but it's going to be a cool park. So
Okay.
it athletic complex. It'll be a family friendly park. It'll have some really cool. nature themed trails,
Mm-hmm.
um, some bridges that you can walk on, see the natural, and because of the wetlands
Mm-hmm.
there, it's going to be pretty green. And so it'll be a spray park. It'll be a stream for kids to play in. We're gonna have a skate park there. It's gonna be one of the best skate parks in the region. We're gonna have a uh, bike track that people can ride on.
Okay.
And so, and then we're gonna have hammocks all over the place. So it'll be a place that you can just bring the family and chill. And
Okay.
older, younger, some theme interpretation stuff on the front side of the park. So, I mean, it's a pretty cool park. Those are the things that come to my mind. I mean, um, I proposed a civilian review board last June, and we
Mm-hmm.
were doing that up until um, I pulled the plan in May, I think. Yeah, May,
Mm-hmm.
and we just couldn't get to the place where I felt comfortable. So, um, a board with no accountability, um, that is just overseeing oversight, um, in the climate and culture that we're in right now was just something I wasn't interested in. But there's some other groups out there that's still fighting for it, so hopefully they'll be able to move some of my colleagues along, and we can see something soon. We do have a new police chief that's been with us now for close to a year,
Mm-hmm.
and not even really a year yet, I don't think. But he's got some positive things coming along that I think um, will begin to move the needle as it relates to accountability. So that's
Absolutely.
where I am. I pastor a church here in the city of Richmond. Uh, we celebrate 16 years on next Saturday. Um, we're gonna have an outdoor service here at the church on July 17th at 6:30. Um, and then we'll show it online on the 18th, which is the third Sunday. And
Okay.
that'll be our official 16-year celebration of pastoring people here. Um, I came here as a 31-year-old young minister who didn't know what the heck he was doing. I'm 48, or I'll be 48 in a couple of weeks. Still don't know what I'm doing half of the time, but making it work. Um, we have not been able to return into the building yet.
Okay.
Our building is getting worked on. So we started a capital project that literally was supposed to start April of last year. Uh,
Uh-huh.
that was right around the time when COVID has really shut everything down. Church
Mm-hmm.
leaders, in a smart way, decided to hold the process up and let's see what let's go through the summer. The church,
Mm-hmm.
our members remain faithful, and January this year we started the work. The work will be done um, in mid-August, and so we got new bathrooms. At one point, initially it was 1.3, ended up being about 1.6.
Okay.
Bathrooms. We got new steps we didn't have steps to exit out of
Mm.
sanctuary. We've gotten the building, the bricks completely repointed on the outside, getting some side work done. All of our stained glass windows we've gotten taken out, refurbished, brought back.
Nice.
So it's getting the sanctuary painted. So it's a lot of work that's getting done. So I miss my people, being with them, uh,
Mm-hmm.
back um, online virtually for 15 plus months, and we're almost there. So
Almost there. Well, I'll tell you this. I know that you do a lot, and we had an opportunity to get together last summer, and I know you mentioned the Civilian Review Board, and I think it's an awesome idea. I also spoke with Chloe Edwards, who is the CEO of 804 Black Lives Matter, and she's very adamant about the Civilian Review Board. And as you said, getting your colleagues to move in the direction that's productive is the biggest problem, or the biggest, I guess, thing in the way, the barrier right now. So I'm hoping that we can all come together, the community, you, Chloe, and those people, to get them to understand the importance of that civilian review board. With that being said, you have so much going on. You are the mover and the shaker of the East End. You are a native of this side of town. I attended Highland Springs. That's my alma mater. I played ball there. So I'm excited about this new facility. I have been an educator in Henrico County for over 10 years now. I coached at Highland Springs, the girls basketball team, for 8 years after graduating and going back. So I am deeply sewed into Henrico County, especially the eastern part of Henrico County. So I'm very, every time I see you doing something else, I'm like, there he go again, making it happen for us, a young black man. And like you said, you started off very young in ministry, well, as a pastor, but how much of the ministry aligns with what you're doing in the community, and how much of it can cause conflict for what you're doing in the community?
Right. So a couple of things. Let me just go back to what you said about the CRB again. I did get a chance to talk to Chloe Edwards yesterday,
Okay.
and yesterday being Wednesday. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
and that was my first time really talking to her. And I wish we had the opportunity to talk more while I was pushing this game publicly. But, you know, our board is split 3-2, and it's ideologically and uh, partisanship. And so, two of us, Frank Thornton and I, Mr. Thornton has been on the board since 1995. So
Mm.
I think this is his seventh term, uh,
Okay.
if not more. Yeah. So he's been around for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
And, he's a giant, done a whole lot. He and I are in agreement with the CRB, but my colleagues don't. So I hope that Chloe and her group and others will be able to share um, or be able to move the needle. So
Gotcha. Okay. Okay. I'm glad y'all were able to connect because I was trying to get y'all together on the show. So
right.
maybe once the CRB is in place and in full effect, we can bring everybody back. Okay, but go ahead.
Um, the ministry and his impact. I see what I do as a greater ministry. Being in an elected position. When I first started, my the greater focus of ministry was meeting the needs of people with the love of God. That's kind of what I've always thought ministry was. I knew from the beginning that I wouldn't uh, that my ministry wasn't really just a church piece. I'm not
Mm.
a pastor, so I have to preach, but preaching is not the end all be all for me. So some of the ministers I know, they just live and die to preach, teach,
Mm-hmm.
do all that stuff. That's a part of what I do, but that's not all of it. So that's what I do in the community to me is an extension of the calling that God has on my life. It really hasn't gotten in the way. Uh,
Okay.
you know, um, I've got to be cognizant. I try to when I'm here at 6 Mile Zion, I'm pastor at 6 Mile Zion. I try my best not to do a lot of Henrico County talk while I'm here. Uh,
Yes.
Very rarely do I talk about the county from the pulpit. When I'm here, the people here expect me to be the pastor. They call me to be the pastor. I started pastoring first, and I never wanted to feel like I was cheating the members of 6 Mile Zion because of other stuff.
Okay.
So I'm not really, every now and then you get people who try to use it against you.
Mm-hmm.
That's the kind of funny part sometimes. So they'll be like, "You're a pastor. You're not supposed to do this," or "You're a pastor. I can't believe you said that." It is what it is. I'm pretty secure in who I am and the roles that I serve. And I came into this role when I first ran. I didn't fully understand what I was doing.
Mm-hmm.
Even when I was running, some of the stuff that I was saying was kind of crazy because I didn't understand it. So I would always talk about the East End being shortchanged. And what I've learned is we only have 65,000 people who live on one half of the county,
Mm-hmm.
270,000 that live in the rest of the county.
Okay.
So there's going to be more private development there. There's going to be more county resources there. is not geographical even 2020, 2020, 2020. It's not like that. So
Gotcha.
you can live in the eastern part of the county and look around and feel like you're being cheated. Well, um, there's still so much more for us to do. But, in the 10 years that I've been here with Mr. Thornton, and you look at the East End, I mean, even if you just ride around with Burnham and Mr. Thornton's part of the team, um, you got a new elementary school. Harvey is not that old. You got
Mm-hmm.
Michael Recreation Center, which now is about 10 years old. You got the new Fairfield Library. You got the new public health building. We got the aquatic center. That's all considered the eastern part of the county. When you flip over and slide to Highland Springs, and then you got New Highland Springs High School. You go down further into Varina. You got the Varina Library. You go back to Sandston. $16 million is going into Taylor Park. We've already spent about $6 or $7 million in Dory Park.
Mm-hmm.
And most of our schools have been touched in some way with capital improvement. So to me, that's the greater ministry. I want somebody 10 years from now to look back and say, they done come a long way with what they're trying to do. I mean, we, even when it comes to the balance of what we do, back in 2018, we just started doing the 4th of July stuff, and I, try to tell our folk, look, if you bring the 4th of July celebration to East End Rico, just watch what the crowd looks like. And 20,000 people there. We didn't have it in 19 because of thunderstorms, and then in 2020 we had the COVID piece. So in 2020 we didn't have anything, and then the 2020 is when we had the civil unrest, and last July, and I went to the county manager and just said, listen, let us have a Juneteenth celebration here, county sponsored, which we did, and we had 11,000 people all day between 1 and 10 on Juneteenth. So
that's great.
We are. I'm looking at Fairfield District, African American, the Varina District slightly. I think about 55-45, 60-40, or something like that.
Okay.
It is majority African American. So I want to make sure that people who live in those districts know that they have representation.
Nice.
And that's what we've been trying to do. So.
Nice. And that's the greater part of ministry, not reaching the people that's just in the church. And I have that struggle myself as a singer, and just as a musician, just being, of course, in the secular world, but ministry being my first mission. That's what God has given me. And I can't reach everybody with ministry if I'm only staying in the walls of the church. So I love that has been, you have learned to balance those things and learn to have those things align with one another. Because like you said, people will be the first ones to try to deter that and, make something negative out of it. I only have a couple more questions. So at this moment, we're going to pause for In the Mix with Tisha Lassane. This is a time where the audience gets to hear a song from Tisha, and then we'll come right back to the interview with Reverend Tyrone Nelson. This is your weekly PPE with Tisha Lassane.
Nothing less than my best. See, God is progressively working. Strife, hate, pain, and all of this hurting. He looked beyond me to my inside. Fire won't shut up in my bones. I can't lie. A we my way, Simba. I got the lion's pride. So thankful to the Most High. As I look back over my life, I think God saved me. I look once, then I look twice. My God.
As I look back over my life,
So you just heard
I
As I
thank
Look Back
God for
by Tisha
saving
Lasing, talking
me,
about looking
saving
back at
me.
life and just understanding how you really could have gone the other way. It really could have been the other way, but God chose better for you. God chose more for you. So with that being said, we are talking to Reverend Nelson, Tyrone Nelson. He is doing it all, y'all. He's in ministry. He's in the community. He's a father. He is just everything that you want your strong black man to be. He is the person that Angie Stone was writing a song about. So we have Tyrone Nelson on the line with us today. Tyrone, you've talked about ministry, you've talked about the community, Henrico County. How do you balance those things with being a father and a husband?
It's tough sometimes. I try to be honest about that. Um, you know, I've struggled, and I think the older I've gotten, the more I've been more cognizant of. You can't get back the time with your kids, so you can be so committed and devoted to doing stuff with everybody else, that the people that are around you that you're in a relationship with, um, your family, your inner core, your wife, your kids, your siblings, your parents. All of that is important. So I think it comes with maturity, and I've got a grown, my son will be 21 next month. I've got a 17-year-old daughter entering her senior year of high school. Now, my youngest daughter is in ninth grade in high school upcoming. So, they don't require the same level of attention they did when they were younger, but they still need dad there. And so I try to be there, um, so that's that part of it. I'm trying to learn as I mature. My parents are aging,
Mm-hmm.
so those who are, connected, um, you just got to make sure that you commit time to that while still doing the best that you can with the other responsibilities.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I think that that's the fabric of a person, your integrity. You always, I like that you acknowledge that you're always learning. You don't have it all figured out. Even as a pastor, and a lot of times as church folk, we look to the pastor to have all the answers. But I like that you share that level of transparency, because then that allows others who are following you, who are looking up to you, who are looking to you, to understand that it's okay to be transparent. It's okay to be vulnerable, but to always understand that there's a greater mission for us. And that's what it sounds like you've been telling us. And I appreciate all that you're doing for Henrico County. I grew up in Eastern Henrico. I lived in the city of Richmond prior to. So coming to Henrico, it's been home for me. So I definitely appreciate everything that you're doing, for the Varina district, and even with the Fairfield district. Y'all bringing us up, and we need that. We need that. So I'm going to ask you one word. What would you say is your purpose?
One word. Hmm. Love. If
Mm,
I had one word, I would just say love.
love, love.
At the end of the day, that's what my relationship with God is about. God's love for me, and in order to be about me sharing love with other people. And regardless of what my stations are, whether it's in Rico or the church or, you know, VCU or transportation boards or whatever the other stuff that I do, in order to be about caring about other people. And ultimately, at the end of the day, the foundation of that is love.
I love that. I love that. That's deep. Um, and yes, if you want to know all that he's doing, we only have about 30 minutes on this show, but he's doing so much. You got to go to his website and check out all the things that he's doing in the community. He's on like so many boards. We need to clone him. I think that's going to be the best way to get it all done.
Right.
um, so what would you say is your passion? That's like what drives you to do everything that you do?
Progress probably is what drives. It's like moving the needle and not being satisfied, just taking we can't do it. I mean, if you asked me this 10 years ago, I probably would have had a different passion. 20 years ago, I had a different passion.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, it's about um, the time that I have now, doing the best I can with the time that I have. And I don't know how much more time that is. So, I've got to take advantage of those opportunities, speak up when voices need to be heard, and push when things need to be pushed.
I like that. Okay, so He's basically saying progress meaning change. That the opportunity or the or him knowing that change can happen and that progress can happen from these things when he's being told no and he can make these things. He's a mover and a shaker. So I like that. I'm gonna have to take. I'm gonna steal that one because sometimes life gets a little tough and you lose your passion. The light can dim a little bit. So just knowing knowing that there can be a greater at the end of it all is worth it.
But,
So the last question is, what empowers you? What is that inner thing that's pushing you? That thing inside. What do you think empowers you?
um, I mean, again, I just have to say my relationship with God is really what pushes me, empowers me. It's not easy, and you know, um, you got to find a balance. Sometimes you got to figure out what you're effective at. You can't do everything, and I learned that when I was younger,
Mm-hmm.
picking and choosing, learn how to say no sometimes to stuff because you can't do everything. Doing everything burn you out,
Mm-hmm.
and just constantly being reminded as as I read the word, the devotionals that I read in the morning and kind of encourage me to keep me focused, especially on relationships,
Mm-hmm.
and then on other things that I need to be focusing on so that I don't get caught up in myself. And I think that's the biggest thing. Just trying to be humble, having a certain level of humility with you, and because you can easily get caught up in believing your own press clippings and thinking you more than you are. And at the end of the day, we all just servants that God trusts, and we try to do the best that we can with the time we have. So that's I think that's the empowerment comes from knowing that I'm really nothing
Mm-hmm.
without God empowering me and giving me what I need. So it
Yes.
ain't really about me. It's I'm a mouthpiece and a soldier for the kingdom.
You better preach. All right. All right. I know that's right. I love all of that. I love all of that. That's the inspiration that we need. That's what this show is about. This is your weekly PPE. What is your purpose? What is your passion? And what empowers you? We're on every Saturday from 2:30 to 3 p.m. on 105.3 The Choice Radio and every Tuesday morning at 6 a.m. on 106.1 ESPN Richmond, Virginia. This is your girl Tisha Lassane. We have Reverend Tyrone Nelson on the line, pastor, uh, Henrico Board of Supervisors, VCU, father, husband, athlete. Like he's just doing it all, y'all. And he is continuing to walk in the way that God would have him to walk, even when it gets lonely, even when he doesn't know what he's doing. He's trusting in God, and that's what life is about: finding that greater source to trust in, which is God. So I thank you so much for being on. One last question, and we're gonna get out the way.
Okay.
What would you say to little Tyrone at the time where he was the most fearful, the most unsure, the most unconfident, the most what that little boy? What would you say to him right now?
Love yourself, value yourself, appreciate yourself. I was that little boy, and I depended on affirmation from other people a lot. Because I didn't see value in myself. And if I could talk to that young man now, I would say, you don't know the plans that God has for you. So just try to stay faithful in your journey. Know that you are fearfully and wonderfully made. That you are a strong black man, and that you have a great future in front of you. And so do the right things, and life will take care of you if you sow into it. So if I had that chance, that's what I tell them. Just don't stop worrying about what other people think of you, and live your life pleasing to God.
And that goes out to all of the little young black boys out there who needed to hear that. He's speaking to you. That little Tyrone could have been you, or it may be you. So take heed. You're listening to your weekly PPE. What is your purpose? What is your passion? What empowers you? It's your girl Tisha saying for another session with Reverend Tyrone Nelson. Thank you so much for tuning in, guys. I can't wait to see you next week. Thanks so much.